Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Vinyl Stallions!
It's like that Green Day album. Did you ever hear about that album that got
Cigarettes
stolen?
and Valentines? Yes.
I think Club told me about this. Apparently, they had an album called Cigarettes and Valentines that they created. Was it like in the early 2000s? It was like before American Idiot, right?
Full studio album. This is how American Idiot was born. And some way, somehow, somebody that worked for the record company just lost the songs. like they were all on a disc. I guess back then computers weren't where they are now, where you would just have it all saved. They were on a disc that supposedly somebody stole. And so this whole Green Day album just gone. And so instead of re-recording it, they wrote American Idiot.
Love that. I love little stories like that. I actually just saw some old archival footage of Green Day explaining why they named the album Dookie. And it was because the first album is Kerplunk, and what sound does Kerplunk make? So that was their concept, was let's name the next record Dookie.
What?
And it's
That's
interesting.
awesome.
It's an old footage from a few months before it got released, and they're just oh, it's gonna be a great album, you're gonna love it. It's called Dookie. And everyone on the who's ever interviewing them is oh, okay, word. All right. And that's a fantastic album. So there you go.
It is a fantastic album, but it was an even better intro to, again, Vinyl Stallions. We have a great guest on today. We have Mr. Conor Emser, again, a music connoisseur who just, you're surrounded by it, honestly, because I always see him at local shows up here. He knows more music than I think I ever will in my entire lifetime. And I've actually had the pleasure of playing on stage with Conor a couple times as well. But Conor, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate the brief intro, a little overview of me. Just to add a little color, I have been a lifelong musician. Played bass, that's my main instrument, but I did 15 years of choir and organized theater and community theater and things like that. So I've always been around music, but nowadays, as you've mentioned, I mainly play in bands. I like to say I'm a dive bar bassist. That's what I've become over time. I do also have a solo album out there that's secret. It's not going to be in the description in the link, but yeah. I've kind of been all over the place, I'm dropping news, dude, on the Stallions here.
This is a dookie right on my face. I had no idea. We got solo projects in the works. Let's
exactly,
go,
man. So, but no, that's exactly right. I'm a voracious music listener. I stay up to date on New Music Fridays, and happy to chat about all things music.
Then you've come to the right place. Clap, my man. How you living?
Living large, living like Larry. Can't complain.
Larry the Lobster.
Yeah.
I love it. So Conor, I ask you. So again, Conor and I have jammed a bunch of times, and he will just drop just facts and things about just instruments, certain amps, and just knowledge all around. And I remember recently I was like, dude, how do you know this? Where did you start, and where did all of this music inspiration come from? And correct me if I'm wrong, but you told me you took bass lessons and you learned the first Rage Against the Machine album from start to finish, and that is kind of how it started going. But elaborate a little bit more. I'm sure I just highlighted over that, but I was like, fuck yeah, when you told me that.
That's exactly right. I first took bass lessons, electric bass lessons, in the 4th grade. Westgate Music in Westlake, shout out. Don't know if that's still there or not, but I don't know if anyone's ever been through bass lessons or instrument lessons in general. They asked you, what type of music do you want to play? And I kind of was shy at the time, so I said, I'm not really sure. And they were like, okay, well, we'll do some Motown and jazz. And I got into Motown, but then I was like, I'm actually really into the Rage Against the Machine. And I learned the entire album, like you said. And that was the duration of my bass lessons after that. We did a couple Stevie Wonder songs, and then we just went straight to Rage Against the Machine, learned every single song on that album. And that's really guided my creativity in bass playing since then. If you listen to a lot of my bass lines that I make, it's pretty much a Rage Against the Machine ripoff. That's really all I'm going for these days. But yeah, that's kind of where it all got started. To add a little bit to that, my uncle played bass growing up. I lived with my uncle for a little while. And, you know, I'm Toronto born, Cleveland native. So coming from Canada, I was exposed to a lot of Rush in my time. And, you know, nothing's more impressive than Geddy Lee and the YYZ bass line. And I just remember watching my uncle try to learn like Working Man and like old Rush songs. I just thought that's the coolest thing ever. And that's why in 4th grade, I picked up the bass and, you know, wanted to learn some Rage Against the Machine songs.
Damn. That's the best album you could choose as a kid to just let it all out and also like learn from just one of the most hype bands like ever.
Yeah, that's a hell of an album to get started on.
Yeah. So did you participate then in any kind of like school like bands or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned my main thing was choir all throughout high school and elementary school and stuff like that, but I did orchestra 5th and 6th grade. They actually wouldn't let me play the bass because they already had 2 bass players, like upright bass. And I was like, no, but I did like bass lessons for a whole year. Like I can do this. And they're like, nah, you can play the cello. It's like close enough. So I did the cello for 2 years. I was like, this is bullshit. I don't want to do this. So very quickly quit that, stuck with choir, did choir all throughout high school. Like I said, did a cappella music and did that all throughout college too. That was sort of my thing. I kind of ushered in the choral community at Ohio University, and you know, made that my thing, made that my main priority.
Dan, let's give it a shout out, man. The Singing Men of Ohio at Ohio University. They like, you guys were incredible, and you guys would just at any point be ready to just sing in harmony out and about on Court Street.
Yeah, I often joke now with my buddies, like we spent a lot of time on organized choir. Not the coolest thing to possibly do in college, but with it came parties and singing for sororities and traveling a lot. So I loved it. I enjoyed it. There's nothing better than creating music with your friends. You definitely see that in a band setting, but when you're in a group of 90 people, it's even more powerful. And it's just really good to kind of connect through music and, you know, find the phrase we'd always say is unity through harmony. And that's kind of cheesy, but truly what happens when you make music with people.
Yeah, no, it's bigger than just a single person.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So then, like, informally, were you part of any bands growing up throughout this time period?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I was kind of thinking about this before I came here. I think I got into my first band ever in 5th grade, and we called ourselves the Hollow Heads. I think it was mostly like we would draw little logos on our homework in like 5th and 6th grade. I don't think we ever really jammed because our parents wouldn't let us. But I did play in that band for a little while, quote unquote. And then I was in bands like 7th and 8th grade. And I actually did my first like playing out and doing a show in 9th grade with a band called Mazes and Maneuvers. We played at Highland Square Tavern on the corner of 117th in Detroit. It's no longer there anymore. Or sorry, 117th in Lorraine. I don't, you know, who knows?
Yeah, but I was gonna say, is it the old Fantasies right there?
I also played at the Fantasy.
Nice.
Those are. It's kind of funny when you roll up to the Fantasy or this Highland Tavern place, or we also played at the Garage Shop when you're like 15, 16 years old, and you're like, what is happening in here? And everyone in the audience is like, who are these children? And who let these people in here? So I'm really grateful that, you know, at the time my parents let me do that and my friends' parents let us do that. But yeah, started playing out 9th grade, and we actually recorded a full album at a place on Madison Avenue in Cleveland. It used to be the old Tower, which is like a DIY punk venue that turned into a music studio. It had a name at the time, but this was like 2011. So who knows what it was called then, or who knows if it's still in existence now. But yeah, kind of got that all out early, and then, you know, played a little bit in high school, played house shows and just with friends, and did that a little bit in college too. So I've always kind of kept it in my back pocket. I usually joke that playing in bands is my winter hobby. Tends to be when I get together with people and play some music. And, you know, we were playing shows up until the pandemic. So the pandemic really kind of squash that for a lot of artists, but we had a good time playing at, you know, Happy Dog, at 5 O'Clock Lounge, Garage Shop, all those places. So it's always good to play local shows in Cleveland.
No, it is. But I mean, hey, So people out there, if you think your summer's busy, talk to Conor Emser over here, because this man is out and about constantly. Me and my roommate Dirty downstairs, we were we both seen him biking at different points in the last week or so. But man, you are Mr. Nature in my mind, and have been it for a while. How'd you get involved in just constantly doing so for people who don't know, one summer in college, Conor literally took a canoe down the Mississippi River from the top of it all the way down to where it lets out in the Gulf. And you've done many
Holy
other,
shit.
Yeah, right? That's fucking crazy. Yeah. But tell us about that. You find because people obviously find peace in nature, but man, you're addicted to it, and it's the best thing to be addicted to.
Yeah, I'll find a way to connect this back to music, because a lot of those trips I've done, music was constantly playing throughout it, but to stay on theme. But I first started doing outdoor stuff and traveling really the summer after my freshman year. So I'm still 18, and I worked with a nonprofit called Bike and Build. And I rode my bike across the United States for the first time with 30 other people. And it was a nonprofit focused on affordable housing. So we rode our bikes every single day from Virginia Beach, Virginia to Cannon Beach, Oregon. Stopped once a week and built houses for Habitat for Humanity. We raised about $150,000 for affordable housing.
Wow, that's fucking awesome.
So that's really where I caught the bug. I was like, this is awesome. I want to be outside. I want to see the United States in a very interesting way. I like connecting with people this way. And, it's a slow roll. It's an interesting way to see the country. So
and your quads are probably hard as a brick.
Oh yeah. Oh,
after all that biking.
I have a bike tattoo on my thigh here, mainly because I had razor sharp suntan lines, and I sort of commemorated those tan lines by getting a bicycle tattoo riding those tan lines. But,
that's nice.
Right on.
That was the summer of 2013. I listened to Childish Gambino's Camp that entire summer. That was my album that I made everyone on the trip listen to. And then also Modern Baseball, their sports album. I played that constantly during that time. So I'm connecting on theme here, but that was 2013. 2014 is exactly what you mentioned. I kayaked down the entire length of the Mississippi River from Lake Itasca, Minnesota down to the Gulf of Mexico. That was a 65-day trip, also with a similar nonprofit angle where we raised money for food banks and food pantries all along the way. And volunteered at food banks and food pantries and raised some money. And that summer was unforgettable. It was also unforgivable. I feel like if I ever did that again, the Mississippi River would take my life. I do not recommend that to anyone and listening or elsewise.
So would you just post up on the side of the river when doing it with your tents and just...
Yeah. So we camped a lot of the ways because we it was something I did through Ohio University. My minor in college was entrepreneurship, so I started a social nonprofit through the university. Really was like a fundraising arm that allowed us to put this trip on. And we kind of used that to reach out to churches and high schools and different organizations all along the way, and pretty much asked them to house us. And if we could secure housing, excellent. If not, we would just be camping on the side of the river. So it just kind of varied from where we were and what we were doing. But it was a truly unforgettable experience altogether.
I would imagine. So the best part of this story that is just kind of the full circle with this all is, how did you get your bikes back to home?
Oh, great question. Yeah, well, I also failed to mention here, I rode my bike across the United States a second time in 2017 from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina to Los Angeles and then up to San Francisco. The first time I rode my bike in 2013, the nonprofit took care of that and they just mailed the bicycles home. And I flew back in a jet and it was beautiful. The second time, all of our stuff was stolen in Santa Cruz.
Oh no!
Right before we finished up in San Francisco, met up with our dear friend Matt Bogart and Steve Robb up there, and they ate some pizza with us, a very sad pizza with us.
Shit.
So we didn't really get our bikes back to Ohio for that, but yeah.
Well, so and then my dumbass misspoke from your two trips, but I was actually referring to. Well, that is a crazy story. Actually, I can't believe I did not know about that in any aspect. But your kayaks.
Kayaks.
How did you get your kayaks back home?
Yeah, this is kind of a funny story. I was just, if anyone's familiar with rivers, that's a weird thing to say. No one's familiar with rivers, but big river guy out here. But the Mississippi River is obviously a working river, so there's like ships and barges and all sorts of like cargo going up and down the river constantly. So I just kept calling like cargo ship companies and like terminals, and until someone picked up and was willing to talk to me, and I explained, hey, I'm going to be at mile marker 0 on the Mississippi River. Your terminal is at mile marker 9. Would you mind if we just dropped off our kayaks and you shipped them up to the Ohio River, and we'll pick them up in Portsmouth, Ohio? And I kind of got laughed at a few times, and then someone was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I think we can do that. So all of our kayaks got thrown into a barge, like a little cargo container, and they just pushed them on up the river and pushed them to the Ohio River, and then we picked them up from Portsmouth. So very fortunate. Shout out Associated Terminals. They were the only ones who took it seriously, and they swagged us the fuck out too. Like when we met up with them, they gave us like hats and shirts and like all sorts of stuff. It was really sick. Actually, they were really tight.
That's awesome. And I think the moral of that story at the end of the day is like, if you have an idea or want something, just pick up the fucking phone, and like, because someone's gonna be like, you know what, that's actually really cool, like that you guys are doing that, and that you called. And that's something that myself included just does not do enough when you have an idea or just want something in general.
And I mean, those are lessons learned from honestly putting on shows when I was in high school. Like, it's very hard for a 16-year-old to book a show at Garage Shop, but if you call them every day, you'll get booked on something. And that's what we did, you know. And that goes true to anyone like performing in the Cleveland area. If you just call and make a pitch, and someone will take you seriously eventually.
100%. Or like, I mean, it's ultimately doing it at the end of the day. I think Klepp is really good at just being like, all right, let's just do it right now. Call something that I thought was cool that you did. So Klepp's getting married here in September, and he was like, I want to. Well, so it's down in Kentucky, and he's like, I want a live band, but like, I don't know what to do. So Klepp, explain to the people what you did.
It wasn't too complicated, but what I did, I just like pulled up Google Maps for some reason and was like, all right, it's going to be here. What is close by that could have something that would be able to provide the music? And I just saw Lexington, Kentucky, which has the University of Kentucky. So I'm like, this is a very big university. They have to have a music department, and they do. And within the music department, they have a jazz band. So I just looked up the director of this jazz band, and I just like shot him an email, and like within 2 hours, we have like a 4-piece jazz band coming to play the wedding.
That's incredible, Club. That's sweet.
Miles Ostrin, look him up. He's got some crazy YouTube videos, like tens of thousands of views. He plays sax. Really good. There's going to be a lot of Coltrane.
Let's go. I'm pumped for that. But no, I commend you both for doing it. And then something else that you like brought up, you said you had your crew listen a lot to Camp by Childish Gambino, and that, like, isn't it funny how just like music literally will just warp you back to a specific place? Like me and our buddy Al Casino did a power hour this past Saturday, and it was like late 2000s and then all of 2010s, and every single song we were like, I remember this reminds me of this is this, like every single song, and it's just, I don't know, it's a cool concept how it just can warp you back.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like more than anything else, a song can transport you to a single moment in time or a certain memory, and that's kind of the beauty of music, you know. Kind of obviously I mentioned Camp and Childish Gambino. That makes me just think of like the summer going into college, but also that summer biking with everyone. I just like forced everyone to listen to that. But another memory from that summer, and this is not a song or an artist that I'm like riding with all the time, but Macklemore's Same Love came out that summer, and I will just never forget. We were in like multiple different bars and restaurants and things we would visit, and that song was constantly on. So I feel like that song always takes me back to that summer. And like, granted, say what you will about Macklemore. It's a pretty decent song.
He's got bops.
He's got some bops, you know, Thrift Shop, what are you going to say? But that song specifically, you don't hear that often anymore. But when I do, it takes me directly back to that and just kind of sharing that memory with folks. So,
no, it's funny that stuff can do that, and it's also forever. These songs will always just appear at random points. All right, so this is something else that I was just thinking about the other day. Like, are our kids, like, in 20, 30 years, are people still going to be like, yo, like Zeppelin, the Stones, or like, is that going to be like us listening to like 1940s, 50s music now? Like, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, if you think about it, like, when we were growing up, there was always 80s nights everywhere, and that was like our parents' music. At least my parents are in their 50s. So
yeah.
80s nights was the thing, but the common day 80s night is like early 2000s emo nights.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. So it's just interesting to see that, like, in 20 years, it's going to be like the 2010s nights or like the millennial night, and they're just going to be playing Drake constantly. You know what I mean? That's going to be our college years. So I can't wait for that. I can't wait to get into a bar and they're just playing, like, Running Through the Six, and we're just going off on it.
I remember.
So, but who knows, man?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting topic because I don't know. I think one thing that's different between like what we view as like oldies now, or like maybe when we were younger, and like song or like artists like Zeppelin, Stones from like the 70s, is like there's a big difference in the audio quality. Like back from like 50s Elvis and just like 50s in general, like they just didn't have as good of equipment to record with. So I do feel like to some extent like an artist like Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, like they will still just like have mainstream relevance even into the future because how much better can the audio quality get, you know? It gets to a point where like the human ear can only be so good for it.
I'm personally like a big snob when it comes to like production quality and like audio quality. I especially when it comes to like mixing and stuff, I can listen to a song and if it's not mixed well, I'm like, this is trash. Like the first thing that comes to mind is my sister is a big My Chemical Romance fan. I think we all were big My Chemical Romance fans in like 2005. They just put out like a new song. It's like 7 minutes long, and it sounds like Gerard Way, the lead singer, is like singing into a tin can. It's just like so poorly recorded. It's mixed terribly. Like the guitars are too loud, the drums are too soft. And it's like, how does someone make a track like that?
Especially a band with that much resources,
with that much money, you know? It's like it's crazy.
And that many people backing it. No one was like, well, maybe turn this up.
Exactly. So, I mean, to your point, Clep, like I think nowadays with major, huge studios and lossless audio and like different digital formats, like how good can things get? But at a different level, like we're recording in your upstairs bedroom,
exactly,
and like it's a quality product. So I think, I don't know, when it comes to those type of things, like simple is better. Mixing is a whole different topic, but like a lot of people have access to creating high quality music, more access than Led Zeppelin and Stones and all these people did in the 70s. So like it's just an exciting time to be alive and see music get made, because there's just more accessibility to it, I guess. And I don't know if that's your original point, Clef, but that's where we arrived.
Well, that was like part of it. So like basically what you're saying about the big difference between like what we have available to us and like what they had in the 70s. I'm saying like that same difference exists between like what they had in the 70s and like the 50s. Yeah. I'm saying like that gap is huge. To the point where like there's still a gap between like 70s, 80s, and now, but it's like a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Definitely big enough to notice. But I guess where I'm going with it is like I think like the 70s, 80s stuff will like almost never die because of it. It's like past the threshold of where like you can be like, all right, this is a good, you know, audio quality at least.
Yeah, that made sense to me.
100%. And then I would just like say from the total opposite standpoint of being a listener, this is the best time to be alive, to be able to
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, to be able to find new music every single day and at the touch of our fingertips is like mind-numbingly cool, like all around. And it's cool because like there's so many artists out there that like you do like your Discover Weekly and stuff.
I actually don't use Spotify.
Okay.
I have always been like deep in the like internet blogs and like the pitchforks and things to like stay up on my music. But Apple has its own thing. What's interesting is like you'll just get an aggregate of all new albums released on Apple Music. And that's what I like to do.
That's pretty cool.
Not a specific genre. It's not like, it's just what came out today. And I'll just give it a listen, whether it's a jazz record, an international like reggae record, whatever it might be. And I just try to give everything a little bit of a listen and pick and choose my favorites. So.
And do you like go through the whole record usually? Like, are you
that's
like
what I like to do. I'm an album guy.
Yeah, you're on the right show.
Yeah, you come to the right place. Stallion approved.
But especially once I find something that I enjoy, like I'll listen to it. I'll like listen the hell out of it. Like listen to it 10 times before I like find a single song or something. I'll throw it on a playlist. But to your point, you know, I think we came up at a very interesting time where like we had LimeWire. We could easily get music. We hear a song on the radio. We don't have to like sit with a cassette tape and like try to record it. We can just go download it. Especially with iTunes and things like that. We've just had so much access to find new music and have it. And I kind of came up, like my family was super into music and my dad had like a CD subscription. So he would get like every month 5 CDs like sent to the house.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
Like BMG music or whatever, but like it was just random stuff. And it's just so funny that that's how my dad stayed relevant and tried to find new music. And now we can just like literally open up our phone and listen to 10 albums that came out today.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing how technology and music have really evolved the entire industry.
Yeah, the accessibility is crazy. I mean, that's seriously what I do. Like I'll be at work and I will just like tear through like 3 albums and I don't know what they're gonna be when I like go into work that day. I just they'll see what Spotify thinks I might like and just go from there.
And Klepp will send me at least a song or 2 from every one of those albums, and it'll be like noon, and he's like, "I've already ripped through fucking 2 Pearl Jam albums, and we're going into jazz now, baby." Or Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah. Oh, great band. Just discovered them like probably within the last like 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keith Emerson, wizard on the piano.
Shout out. So, Conor, what music do you like find yourself? Also, I'll say, what music do you find yourself listening to just like right now? And then I guess just over the years, what do you always just go back to or enjoy? Because I don't know, you like he's hip with music. I'm not hip.
I mean, it runs the gamut. I think I default honestly to a lot of like R&B and hip hop, honestly. Like that I can put on anytime and always enjoy. That's just, I've always been that way since high school. But really it runs the gamut. I'll listen to anything. I've been into a lot of like instrumental based like jazz or new jazz type records. I've been into like math rock for a little while, very also instrumental based. I like pop music. I know a lot of people don't like pop music, but I will fuck around on the top 100 all day long.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that like what is popular really defines a time and a moment. And like Harry Styles, that album that just came out, phenomenal. That is summertime 2022.
Is that the
forever be?
Is that the best album of the year so far?
I mean, that Beyonce album just came out, and that Beyonce album was pretty good.
I've only heard a couple off of it, but
Chili Peppers album.
Yeah, they do.
The
bop.
Chili Peppers album, didn't even listen to that yet.
Well, they have another one coming out in October. They just announced. So 2 double discers in 1 year.
Muse has an album coming out.
Who's that?
The Imagine Dragons.
Oh, the Imagine
That
Dragons.
thing was like over 2 hours.
But I mean, I don't know. I can't listen to everything. Over the years, it just really depends. But recently, I mean, that Harry Styles album comes to mind for sure. I listened to that Beyonce album, obviously, the past week here. There's an artist called JD Beck and Domi. It's like a new jazz type thing that's kind of in the camp of Anderson .Paak.
Okay.
So I've been listening to that a ton. Because that just came out 2 weeks ago, and then other stuff is just like R&B right now. I'm trying to think of like what did I recently say with my own music. There's an artist called Yaya Bay, and it's like soulful R&B like horns, and it's just a beautiful record. It's like she has like an attitude that's like she's saying some shit, but it's also just like cuts so deep. It's like a mix of like braggadocious, but also like super emotional. And I really like enjoy stuff like that. That's like dynamic. And another album I've been listening to is an artist by Ombre. It's the record's like 3000 Degrees. And it's like an R&B hip hop soul record. And these have all come out in the last month. And that's just like what I've been listening to recently. But yeah, those are just some things. I don't know if that really answered your question.
I mean,
I listen to a lot of different stuff.
I mean, I feel like now at this point, half the reason why I do this podcast is to like learn new music, because I literally will go back and listen to people's like we usually like or people will go into just music they're listening to or new artists that they like, and I mean that's where I find so much of my music in the past couple months. So shout out to you, shout out to everyone else who's been a guest on the Stallions. But all right, so wait, I want to back up. So you have a solo album out, or you're working on a solo album? What's happening?
I was waiting until we were gonna get back to that.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah, so this is
I was just dropped in there.
Yeah.
It's been an inside joke of mine for like the past 5 years, but I sincerely do have a solo album. It's out there. It's on Bandcamp. I will not be dropping links. I will not be letting you know what it is.
All right, Stallions, go find it. Go find it.
It's one of those like, if you know, it's out there. But when I was in college, I just share the band name, but I would write songs and just put out like little Lucy's, I guess is what I would say, under the moniker Blue Boy, mainly named after that Matt the Moore song.
That's the first thing that comes to my head.
But also just as a little like know the artist background here, my family has called me the Boy my entire life. Okay. Drake stole that nickname from me. And so Blue Boy, I write.
And you're born in Toronto.
Oh yeah, neighboring suburb actually. So Drake is from Scarborough. I was born in Brampton. They're rival high schools. So like me and Drake go way back. We got beef.
You got beef. But we'll be boxing at the next Logan Paul fight.
Yeah, exactly. Good grief. But no, I named it Blue Boy. I was writing like sad, kind of like post-rock guitar and like somewhat sampling stuff, like sampled drum beats and whatnot. And yeah, I have like an 8-song album that's floating out there, that's kind of thematic around like graduating college and like not being available to people and just kind of like saying goodbye and kind of moving on. So again, cool. If you know, it's out there, but the band name is Blue Boy, so do what you can.
Beautiful. That's awesome, man. And so so yeah, you said you play bass, but so you play guitar on it, and like did you do it all yourself, like mix it and everything?
Yeah, so if you find it, it's terribly mixed. Even though I said I'm a mixing snob. I recorded it. I'm also not very good at guitar. I obviously can play guitar just through my bass skill set, but it was just something I wanted to try to do, and I was kind of like learning cover songs throughout college and playing like a couple open mic nights at Donkey Coffee.
Shouts.
Playing in people's living rooms, and we used to do like karaoke nights, me and all my friends, and like we would just fuck around and do that. So that's what kind of was born out of. And then I just graduated college, had some time on my hands, and just sat down with a bottle of wine in my bathroom when I moved to Florida. I lived there for a year and lived alone for about a month and a half, and just used that time. I wasn't working and recorded 8 songs in the bathroom.
It's fucking awesome, man.
With a little Scarlett studio and a microphone. So it doesn't sound great, but it doesn't sound bad.
Dude, I love to hear that. So have you like messed around at all with like mixing since then?
A little bit. Interestingly, in college, I was in a acapella group, like a 16-member 4-part acapella group, and we would record individually our parts, and then I was kind of the one behind the scenes doing all the mixing and stuff.
Yeah,
that's really where I learned a lot of my like at the time it was why can't I think of it? It's not Pro Tools. Why can't I think of it? Logic. And my Logic skill set. I I think maybe we were using GarageBand maybe at the time, but yeah, really just kind of watched a ton of YouTube videos, taught myself how to do it. I was kind of tangential to a lot of audio engineer majors who also did City of Ohio. So just kind of always something I was interested in and just kind of paid attention to, and learned enough to record myself and know a thing or two, but I wouldn't say I'm an audio engineer by any means.
Yeah, but you're able to like you're able
it's
to
still
learn.
pretty
That's
cool.
the beauty of it all, is like you're able to literally still just find a way to do it, and it's multiple tries. I mean, shit, before we even jumped on, I was like, dude, I gotta start recording myself strictly for the learning aspect of like Logic and everything that it comes with. So dude, that's awesome that I don't know, you dove in shit. Like I'm just finding out about this, people. I need to find this album.
It's all YouTube, really.
I think
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I found it, but I don't know if I did, because this album I found is only 7 songs.
Keep it to yourself, Club. Keep it secret.
Oh no, I'm not. I wouldn't spoil it. I just
What's
say
that?
I think I might have.
What's that opening track called?
Okay. Call Me Back.
Wow. Clep did his research. Sleuthing,
Wait,
man.
so did I find
That
it?
is, I think I removed one of the songs. Actually, come to
Okay,
think
because
of
I'm
it,
gonna
but-
say there's only 7 on here.
Hey, there you go. I'm very proud of that opening track. It is like a compilation of voicemails that people have left me,
Cool.
and they're like yelling at me, like, Connor, pick up your phone. And that like kind of sets the tone for the entire little like EP. Is like, you know, I'm moving on. I'm not answering my phone. And
Yeah.
I tied the last song is like, I don't even know. I think it might be called "Pick Up the Phone," and I just like the chorus is like, I haven't picked up the phone in so long. So that's kind of it's kind of thematic. I was very proud of that, but they don't sound good, Flep. Don't listen to them.
Okay.
No, don't
But
believe
now
it.
I have to know.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. So give us a little rig rundown. What are you working with?
Oh man, I am very proud of this. So when I've been playing the same bass. I want to say probably for the past, it's got to be 12 years now. I bought a Squire P bass in 2009 as I was entering in 9th grade of high school. I think it was a birthday present, and I put like $200 Seymour Duncan bass pickups on it. It's in a natural wooden color. They were super hard to find, with a maple neck, and I've never seen any other Squire or Fender P bass in that colorway. So I love it. I've held on to it. Any other guitar I've ever bought has always tried to be that natural colorway. But that thing has been a monster. It's kind of like a little rough now. Some of the wirings are messed up. You may have noticed when we play on stage, sometimes it kind of jiggles a little bit. But that thing has been my tried and true bass for years now. It just plays well. The intonation is perfect on it, and it just feels comfortable when I play it. But I also have a Fender Mustang, a short scale, also in a natural colorway with like a tortoiseshell pickguard. Has the classic like P and J bass pickups. I bought it thinking I was gonna love it, and I kind of like it. It's okay. It doesn't play like that fat thumping P bass that's 12 years old. So that's kind of my own little letdown. But those are the 2 basses I work with, and then I have an acoustic. That's the brand. It was a brand in the 70s that was like competing with Ampeg basses at the time, or bass amps at the time. Ampeg certainly won the market share and like the trusted sound, but the acoustic brand kind of reissued some of those amps in the early 2010s, and I got a hold of one. It's a 200 watt head with a 1x25 cab. I used to have a 4x10 cab as well, but you don't need 2 cabs and 200 watts all the time. And I was like moving around a lot and sold that 4x10, but I kind of wish I'd kept it because I would have loved to still have a full stack. But yeah, that's been the rig for literally 12 years. I've not invested too much, and because I found a good sound and just kept it. But I also, as you know, play one of those Fender bass rumbles. Brand new series came out. They just put out a reamp of them, or a revamp of them in 2022, and they're just like 10 pounds. They're so light. They sound beautiful. There's like 3 different like contours and sounds you could do. And I've really enjoyed playing on that little amp. It's a good little practice amp, but it holds up with drummers, and I think it was like $200-300. So money well spent.
And it's really light. Like it's surprisingly light.
That's the thing. When you're moving around like a 30-pound bass amp head and like a 45-pound like awkward sized bass cab for 12 years, you're like, I could throw this thing in the river and never think about it again. And like picking up with one hand the bass amp and it's like lighter than your guitar is like the greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah.
So that sold to me alone. I like went to Guitar Center. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, and literally just picked it up. I was like, all right, this shit's mine. I don't even need to like play it.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of answers a question I had, because I was gonna ask, how many like different amps did you test out until you like arrived at that one and were like, all right, I want to add this sound to the arsenal?
Yeah, interestingly, I was doing a lot of my like amp discovery in high school. So and again, I found the acoustic series and just loved it and just never looked back. I do eventually want to, I tell myself I want to buy an amp head and like kind of get that classic tube sound, but I've never found a need for it. I feel like if I get into a band where we're playing regularly out, I'll probably invest. But in high school, I actually had one of the first Fender Rumbles. They weren't as light. It didn't sound that great. And it was just like a hand-me-down from someone. I played like a PV combo amp that was like a 1x25 that was like had a metal setting. It literally just said metal, and you press the button and it just turned it into like the most aggressive sound ever. And that was like to a friend of a friend's like dad who left it at someone's house and then like ended up in Josh Mounce's like basement. Strange little like turnaround there, but played that for a little while. And then I had, right before I got the acoustic brand like head and stack, I was playing on a Canadian made Trainer, I believe was the brand. Never found any of those in the United States once before, but I was up in Canada with my family, went to like a music store, and they had this like 45-watt bass amp that looked like a classic Fender, and I was like, that thing looks sick, I'm sure it sounds sick, and like convinced my mom to buy it because it was under $100. So I played that for a little while, and then I was I don't know if you know about this, I was bootlegging CDs and selling them on the bus in the 7th and 8th grade.
Whoa!
So
Yeah.
Come get them, FBI.
So I had like $200 or $300 saved up, and that went towards the bass amp that I still play today.
Hey, that's entrepreneurship right there.
Truly. I was really deep into it. I was like downloading songs off of LimeWire, getting the whole like discography or getting the whole album track list. And then I bought a CD stamper from Kmart, so I was printing out the album artwork, stamping it onto the CD, and then I was taking a little like printing out the album artwork, taking jewel cases and like sliding it in there and selling them at like face value, like $10 on the bus.
Did you ever get caught?
I did. I got a detention in 7th grade. Shout out Mimi Verdone.
I remember her.
Yeah, shouts out. I don't know. That was the year of Fever, You Can't Sweat Out by Phantom of the Disco came out. And that was like
I chime in with a
exactly, dude. That was like a very popular record, but you couldn't find it in stores anywhere because it wasn't like that big or that like widely distributed. So I was just like flipping those things on the bus, like high quality records, like that's awesome. Jewel cases and everything, selling them at $10 a pop, and I probably like made and sold like 30 of those.
Wow.
Another aspect of that too is at that age, 'cause we were in 7th grade then, so like not everyone's parents would let them listen to the explicit version of a song, and the radio would only have the edited version. Because I remember, do you remember somebody who we went to school with named Eddie Nakib? Yes. Connor?
Are we doing the full government names out here? Eddie, we'll block it out. I'm familiar with Kid Keeb, yes.
Yeah, I remember like there was this Ludacris song that I really liked. I think this was like 5th grade, and my parents, not a chance in hell they would let me listen to the unedited version of this. And I remember I had him burn me. It was Get Back by Ludacris. Just that one song on a CD. And I would seriously just like listen to it for an hour at a time.
See, kids today will never know of that experience and that like joy of getting a single disc with a single song on it. Like that's incredible. I love that story.
Dude, you brought up like Panic at the Disco. Also, speaking of like the edited version, this is something I never understood as a kid. On the radio during the I Chime In with the Haven't You People Ever Heard Of, they would block out the word God but keep the word damn in. Go back and listen.
Yeah, they did. I totally remember.
Yeah, they
that.
go, I Chime In, but haven't you people ever heard of closing the damn door? No. And I'm like, wait a minute. So damn's an okay word as long as we don't put God in front of it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
Fourth grade me. All right. Damn it all to heck.
Checks out.
Yeah, they just didn't want those two words like right next to each other. That's that. I mean,
yeah,
there's
but
no
then
other
they would
explanation.
Yeah, no, but then they would block damn on like another one or like hell. Like I remember what was that song? All American Rejects. I'll give you hell and I'll give you hell. Dude, they're just like, and I'll give you and I'll give you.
It's like at that point, like maybe just don't play that one. Like find a different song, DJ. That's like I have no idea how any radio station plays the song like WAP by Cardi B. Like you can't play the actual song if you're playing the edited version. Just skip.
So yeah, no, I appreciate that rig rundown. And like honestly, that's something that just talking to you over the years and just seeing you interact with just instrument stuff, like you know a lot about amps and stuff. And you say you did your like research leading up to your purchase of your amp and guitar, but have you like continued that? Like, do you find yourself like reading articles about just like all the stuff involved in music?
Yeah, I do. I'm very guilty of like going on Sweetwater and just like window shopping and just doing research on random things. Like whether it's a new amp or like guitars or like whatever it might be. And I just like knowing what's out there, but I'm also notorious for like going to shows and just like looking like over people's heads at like what gear people are using and like making a little note in my phone or like doodling it and then just like trying to make note of like, okay, I really like the way this bass sounds or like I really like the way that piano sounded or whatever the instrument is, and just trying to like figure out like what are they doing or what are they playing to like get this tone and get this sound. And I actually went to a show last night on a whim. It was like Phaser. It was like it was bands I've never even heard of. We just kind of showed up. It was at Mahal's, and I spent half the time just like looking at their gear, and they had like a whole light setup, and I looked at like how much was this light setup? Like how did they shop for this stuff?
Nice.
Like, I just like looking into that and doing that type of research. It's just like the music nerd in me, but I think that's how I stay relevant, I guess, to like what people are making and what tools they're using to make it. So.
Very nice. No, I mean, that's just a whole different aspect of music, is making it sound like it does live, and yeah, with all the tones and everything. So it's fucking
equipment
awesome.
is huge. That can like seriously help a band, and it can seriously hurt a band.
Oh yeah. I will also say I went and saw a band called Ola Mesa, also at Mahal's, like maybe a month ago, and the bass player was using the same acoustic amp that I had. So I was like, oh shit, like this guy has my tone. And he was running it. So he had an old jazz bass, looked like a Mexican made jazz bass, classic looking, ran it through a single pedal that I couldn't tell what it was, and then running into the acoustic amp. And I was like, this sounds like my exact sound. And then when he was putting on that pedal, it was like an overdrive pedal that had like a little bit of crunch to it, but it really just kind of like beefed everything up. And I was like, what the hell is this pedal? Yeah. And I was like eyeing the whole time, like looking at this man's feet, like what is he doing down there? And literally afterwards, I just went up to him, and turned out his name was also Connor. And I was like, dude, what's up? Like, I'm Connor. I just want to know what pedal that was. And I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but it was like a new Boss pedal that came out this past year. And it's like bass, like overdrive crunch. And I have the like original Boss like overdrive pedal, and like that's not the sound I'm getting. Yeah. So I literally went home and like researched it. It's like a $300 pedal. Like watched videos of people playing with it. And it was like no one on YouTube is getting the sound that this guy had. And I was like, I want to buy this pedal just so I can get this like beefy crunch.
Yeah, because you have the
sound.
exact.
I have the exact rig. Like I can get that sound as well. So that was kind of exciting.
No, that's awesome that you went up to him. So, what is, in your opinion, the best venue in Cleveland?
Oh, that's a great question. I have different opinions depending on what shows they are, but I'll just kind of do like, I guess my tops. I definitely love Mahal's. It's a classic DIY type venue. It's now run by Bravo Artist, and I personally am a fan of what Bravo Artist has done in Akron and Cleveland and the DIY scene. And now they have like an attic space or the apartment space, so it even feels like a house show vibe there. They got rid of the locker room, which I have some qualms with. I love seeing shows in the locker room.
Yeah, a couple of our guests have had some qualms with that.
Yeah, that was like, I love that shit in high school. That was like my place. There's nothing like seeing a show and having like bowling balls fall off like rafters and roll around during shows. But I think that one holds just like a special place in my heart because I've just been going to shows there probably for 10, 15 years. And it's just evolved so much over the years. Beyond that, I love seeing shows at the Agora. That's kind of like my bigger venue. I prefer, if I'm seeing a bigger show, I prefer it to be at the Agora. I do like the House of Blues and then that's like a hot take. Not a lot of people like House of Blues or Houses of Blues across the country. But the thing I liked about the House of Blues is that their floor is like a little trampoline. And I don't know if you ever noticed that, but like the floor has a little bit of give to it.
Really?
So if everyone's jumping, you automatically have to jump. And I think that shit's sweet.
That is pretty cool.
I saw Freddie Gibbs there, rapper, hip hop artist that does like live instrumentation. It was incredible. Like there was mosh pits, there was people jumping up and down, like something I never really thought I'd see at a hip hop show. And like, yeah, you're just bouncing the whole time because everyone's bouncing. And everyone was passing around blunts. So it was like a great time. So the House of Blues, top tier there for that aspect alone, but I'm not so big into the corporate venue space. And then beyond that, I do love seeing a good Happy Dog show. There's nothing like it. It's very intimate. If you see like a good band that can like really put on a performance in that space, it like there's so little you can do, but there's so much that you can do in that space. So I really enjoy Happy Dog as well. I'm sure I'm forgetting others. The Garage Shop's a notable mention. That was the first time I felt like I played in a big show. It was at Garage Shop. But beyond that, yeah, that's my kind of rundown of favorite venues.
And then let's just keep the Cleveland train rolling. Are there any like local bands that you're really fond of?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't seen or listened to a lot of local bands recently off the top of my head.
And I guess it doesn't have to be particular to Cleveland. I guess just, I don't know, not like bigger name bands that you find yourself listening to or like are coming through. Or
I did already mention it, that Ola Mesa band. It's like an instrumental, like, it's hard to describe. It's kind of math rocky, it's kind of jazzy. But they're from the Akron area and they play around here all the time. So I saw them recently. There's a band called I Hate It Too, which is out of Akron, just friends of friends, kind of born out of the band called City Cop. I don't know if you're familiar with them, also from Akron. I was really big into the Akron DIY scene in college and kind of stayed close with it because I had friends in that scene. But recently I've been listening to a lot of local stuff. I can't even think of anything. I got a buddy who used to play in Heart Attack Man. People forget that Heart Attack Man's kind of big now. They just they're on a tour with Tiger's Jaw, and they're on a tour with like a rap artist. And I can't remember who it is, but kid named Eric Egan. I believe he went to Rocky River. I met him at Crocker Park in like 2007. And he's now the lead singer of Heart Attack Man. And it's been really cool to see that band grow up and evolve and change. And like he's big on TikTok now, which is crazy. But those guys, that's definitely a local Cleveland band. And people who used to play in that band are now in a thrash hardcore band called Piss Me Off. I saw them at Happy Dog, and it's like theatrical. It was fun. But other than that, I mean, I haven't stayed too close with Cleveland local stuff recently.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back into Vinyl Stallions episodes and pick out some titles from people.
No, there's some good stuff. We have a lot of great people coming up in September that are featured in the local Cleveland scene as well. But it's been fun. I mean, just doing this podcast alone, it gets me to like say like, what's happening in this area, and I've also been playing out and about at Open Mug Nights recently. So met some really, really cool people and had really great talent here in Cleveland.
I will also quickly add, I live above the band Fuzz Aldrin, not to be confused with Buzz Aldrin or any other.
Or Buzz Baldwin.
Buzz Aldrin, a previous Vinyl Stallions guest, but Fuzz Aldrin, pretty good tunes, man. And, you know, even when I'm up late at night at midnight, like just trying to sleep and I can hear them jamming downstairs, I still fucking enjoy it. It's not bad. So pretty cool guys. They live downstairs and yeah, good tunes.
No, shout out. I've definitely heard of them as well. Fuzz Aldrin, we're coming for you next.
Yeah.
Fuzz Aldrin?
Fuzz Aldrin. Yes.
Aldrin, all right.
Aldrin.
Yeah, that was like a tongue twister of those three all together.
Buzz Baldwin, they even said like that those two bands get mixed up all the time. And they said that they've gotten shows where the venue thinks they're booking Fuzz Aldrin, and then they'll start playing and they'll be like, this is a way different band than what we thought.
Yeah, and they said they would like wear each other's t-shirts and stuff as well to like confuse people.
Yeah.
Very funny.
That shit's fucking hilarious. All right, Connor, you survived your first Stallions podcast, but we can't let you off the hook.
Wait, before we get to that question, I have one more.
Let it loose, club.
So, like when you were talking about the different venues around Cleveland that you really like, it had me thinking about something. So like you said, like a lot of times when you're at shows, you're like watching the bassist to see like what their setup is, and you really like learning about like the actual gear they're using.
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself doing that with the venue too? Like just like looking, seeing the different like speakers and amps that they have, and then like doing your research on like I guess that aspect of it too. Because I feel like obviously the band's equipment can affect sound quite a bit, but the venues can as well.
Yeah, I mean, shout outs to all the sound guys working in Cleveland. They truly make live music what it is.
Yeah.
I will say I do that to a certain extent. There's only so much like research you can do on like general audio equipment at venues. Like, oh sweet, they're using like, I don't know, PV speakers out here, like that's sick. Okay. But and
yeah, I know nothing about it. I'm just like, oh cool amps there.
Yeah.
Get in front of that one.
Can't always see what's going on in like the soundboard in the back, but I've definitely noticed that like there's definitely venues that, depending on where you stand or even just depending on the venue, just has different sound quality. And I would go back to the Agora having great sound quality if you're pretty much anywhere in there. Like you can be on the side and still get a good sound. You can be in the center, get like everything at you, and you can feel the bass, you can feel like the high end, you can like really enjoy the concert at the Agora. And I've even been up on the balcony there, and you get a pretty good sound up there as well. I will say at the House of Blues, for it being like a major venue with the name recognition of the House of Blues, there are dead spots in the House of Blues Cleveland where you can be on the side and you're like not really hearing everything. You're not really getting that high end. You might be like getting the bass really heavily from like the speakers that are on the ground, but you're kind of missing stuff. You really have to be in the center at the House of Blues to enjoy a show there. And I've sat up on the balcony on like the far like stage right side, and up there you don't get like the full sound. You definitely don't get the like reverberation on your chest, and you certainly don't get that bounce on the floor. So like House of Blues is spotty for that. As minor and like small as the Happy Dog is, the sound there is shit, but that's not what you're going for. You're not going to the Happy Dog to get like a high quality audio experience. You're getting like a more intimate experience. And I don't know, I've heard good shows there and things are mixed well, but like I feel like now like Happy Dog people are going to be like against me for saying that, but like I think good shows are there. It's just like you're not going there for like a high quality audio experience.
No. I'm sure they wouldn't take offense to that. I mean, they're a business, like they know what they're like offering, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, that's definitely,
you can get a hell of a hot dog there too.
A hell of a hot dog, chili fries, dog. That's the thing they get there. So
And the sauces.
And sauces. So. But no, Clep, that's definitely something I think about every time I go to a show. And I've done the shows with people who don't resonate on that level. I'm like, all right, we got to go sit in the middle. Like, we got to feel the bass. We got to hear the high end. We got to like be here. And they're like, oh, well, it's like less people over here. It's like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to
it's all about the music.
You know? Yeah, it's all about the music. So
fuck yeah, it's all about the music. Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah,
all right.
That's why me personally, like if I'm ever just like looking to buy tickets and it's like assigned seats, then like I always try to get as close to the sound mixer as I can, just because you're gonna get what the person who's controlling it is getting.
It's true.
That is true. That's a good identifier of like where to be closest to. Just find the sound guy. He's gearing it towards himself.
Yep.
All right, so we have the question, Connor, that we ask every guest, and it is going to be, what is your most memorable concert experience? And now this can be bizarre, strange thing, unique thing that you've either seen at a concert, happened to yourself, happened to someone in the crowd, or happened on stage.
Yeah, I have a handful of these.
And let them rip.
I can tell multiple.
Multiple.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to start off with one in particular because I think it's the most over the top. I went to, this was like a graduation gift for myself. I went to Kanye West's Life of Pablo tour. I went to the Miami show the second night. There was 2 Miami shows. And it was 3 days before he canceled the entire Life of Pablo tour in Houston and kind of had his mental break and kind of just canceled everything. And that was also when like Kim Kardashian was attacked and all that stuff. So it was like crazy time to see Kanye West. But I was living in Florida at the time. I was up in Jacksonville and I drove down by myself to Miami, Florida, got there the day of. And I had a $300 ticket, but Clep, to your point, I was right behind the mixer and I was on like the lower bowl level. So I really wanted to be on the floor, but just like couldn't shell out $500 for that. So whatever. But I get down there, I'm wearing my like Life of Pablo shirt that says like I feel like Pablo on the breast pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm just walking around Miami, just like never been there. So I was just by myself having a great time, just kind of looking at the sights and sounds and just kind of walking through. And I went to, I don't even know what the portion of the city is called, but it's like a very narrow kind of like outdoor mall right along the river. I was walking down the street and like the most like hyped beast boys you've ever seen in your life, decked out in like the nicest fucking clothes, cleanest shoes, like a group of 7 dudes are walking towards me, clearly going to the Kanye West concert. And they kind of approach me, they see my shirts, and they start saying something to me in Spanish. I quickly realized they do not speak English, and we're trying to like kind of have a broken conversation on the street here. And they just kept saying like, oh, I feel like Pablo. I feel like Pablo. And I was like, hell yeah, like I'm going to the show too. Like I feel like Pablo. Like we were just like so hype about it. And then they said something to me in Spanish, and I was like, you know, hablo. Like, I just sorry, like I don't speak Spanish. And he takes out this Altoids container, and in the Altoids container is like several joints. And he was like, I feel like Pablo. And I was like, oh, I feel like Pablo. And like no other words were said. He takes the joint out, like gives me one. They like all take individual joints. And I'm just like in the streets of Miami smoking joints with like 7 dudes in like high fashion. And I was just geeking out. I like thought it was so funny. I like finished the joint and like literally could not have a conversation with them. but just kept saying like I feel like Pablo, and like just parted ways. Saw them later when we were in line, and I don't know, it was a great experience. That really kicked off my Kanye West experience.
That's
and
awesome.
I'll also mention outside that show there were protesters. I guess that was happening a lot on this Life of Pablo tour, but one thing that sticks with me and is memorable, they were like religious protesters. And they kept on their microphones saying like, Kanye says your chick is so thirsty, but there's no water in hell. I was like, what? Like genius. They're clearly fans, you know?
Yeah.
They're just so thirsty. Like, so that always stuck with me. I thought that was so funny.
That is hilarious. That's not so we had another guest on, Lily Richards.
Yeah.
And she brought up that tour as well for this question and mentioned how she was at the show where Kanye got dragged off stage because
Oh,
Kim
yeah.
Kardashian got robbed, and
Yeah.
and they were just in New York, and they're like, Kanye's not coming back.
That's insane.
That's funny that we had 2 from that, but
Memorable tour. So
100%.
I mean, he did like 45 minutes of ranting. He was 45 minutes late. He played like "Father Stretch My Hands" 3 times. Like,
oh
it was
fuck
awesome.
Yeah, that's a
So,
banger.
That's definitely my most memorable, especially with the guys outside and just like the protesters and just being in Miami. It was so much fun. The other one that came to mind is kind of a sleeper, but I went and saw Bright Eyes in 2009. I was in 9th grade. My mom dropped me off. She didn't want to come.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of maybe too young to be at a concert by myself, but like I convinced my mom like my friends are gonna be there. And turns out like the high school like English department, like 4 teachers were all there, and just like me by myself. And they're like, "What? Like Connor, what are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh, I'm seeing fucking Bright Eyes." Like, what are you doing here? And so goofy time to begin with, but then like we go inside. I'm there by myself. I'm having a great time. Like I was a huge Bright Eyes fan. Kind of a backstory there. When I first got exposed to the internet, you obviously like Google your name, and Conor Oberst of Bright Eyes fame like spells his name the same as I do. There's not a lot of CONORs out there. So when I Googled my name, Bright Eyes and Conor Oberst came up, and I got exposed to Bright Eyes during the digital urn era. So like 2004, 2005, like super early. So big fan, always have been. But when I was there, it was a lot of like probably people in their 20s, people in their 30s, like what you would expect from a Bright Eyes concert. And then there's just me, like 15-year-old kid. And I, at the time, was going to a lot of punk shows, going to a lot of like hype, very exciting shows. That's what I was used to. And so we're at this Bright Eyes show. They're playing music. Conor Oberst is like so entertaining on stage and kind of like gets a lot of crowd energy out. And I just started like dancing and like moving people around, where I started individually myself, started an entire like mosh pit at the Bright Eyes show. And there were people yelling like, "Make them stop, like Connor, make them stop." And I was like literally the only one fucking like getting everyone going, like a little 15-year-old. I'm like, you know, that's how you enjoy a Bright Eyes concert. And what's kind of funny is like the Bright Eyes actually just came to Cleveland to the Agora back in February, I think it was, and I went. And what's crazy is like no one danced, no one moshed. Like it was just people kind of bopping along, like standard indie music stuff. And you know, now I'm 28, so I'm not in there fucking throwing clothes and like getting people feeling, like everyone was into it. And I remember that very vividly because Conor Oberst even like jumped into the crowd and was like singing like while like crowd surfing and stuff, and like it was just so hype. And I just felt so powerful as a 14, 15-year-old. Like I started this.
That's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So that's the other one that comes to mind. Yeah. I another one beyond that is I don't know if you're familiar with the band Dance Gavin Dance.
Oh yeah, of course.
Classic. I saw them like 6 or 7 times all throughout high school. For some reason, I was a big Dance Gavin Dance fan. My AIM screen name used to be Dance Connor Dance. So like we go way back.
Yeah.
But I went with a buddy of mine. It was like, it wasn't a Taste of Chaos. It was some sort of like summer tour that like Linkin Park was there. Taking Back Sunday was there. It was like a interesting thing like that. And it was at Blossom, which is also a cool venue, a great place to see a show. And it was in Blossom, like in the actual thing, or that's where I was standing, like in the actual like overhead thing. And again, we were all kind of dancing, moshing, doing our thing. And Johnny Craig, who was like the famed Dance Gavin Dance singer at the time, who had like a tumultuous career of like being in and out of Dance Gavin Dance because of drugs and all sorts of stuff, very specifically like stood up on the fence and like hawked the most disgusting loogie into the air, and I like watched it go up and then like come down and hit my friend in the face. And like literally like everyone around us was like, "What the fuck was that about?" And then like continued on. But yeah, my buddy Evan really got whomped.
Evan. Oh man.
So yeah, but those are probably my most memorable moments. I'm sure I have others, but
yeah.
Actually, I have one final one that I might get in some legal trouble to share, but I'm happy to share it.
Well, let's the FBI started coming at you for your CD selling.
Yeah, for my
in
CD selling.
School bus.
Some people might remember this if you went to Ohio University in 2012. But my freshman year of college at Ohio University, Machine Gun Kelly, our beloved Cleveland fanboy, was performing at the Memorial Auditorium, which is like the student performing arts center there. And at the time, wasn't a huge MGK fan, just kind of like someone said, let's go. And
you're so Cleveland.
And
it's a goddamn shame.
I actually did love the song Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like I fucked with that heavy at the time. So I was like, yeah, I'll go. But this was like the Wild Boy era.
Yeah.
So that was like the single that he played. But played the whole show. For some reason, it wasn't Halloween, but I wore a leopard print onesie footy pajamas. With like little cat ears. I don't know why I did that.
Because you're at OU, baby.
Like to this day, freshman year I didn't even drink, I didn't do drugs. I was just like, let me show up in a leopard print onesie and have a great time at the Machine Gun Kelly concert. And I went with like kids I didn't really even know. They were just like on my floor. And the last song was going off, and he announced it was Wild Boy, and I just kind of like turned to the people I was with. I was like, oh, it's time. And they're like, time for what? And I just kind of like jumped the seats and then just ran as fast as I could towards the stage. And the security guard like blocking it, like running down the aisle, the security guard at the end just kind of like looked at me like very confused, because like here's this man wearing a leopard print onesie with cat ears and like whiskers on. Like, what's going on? And I literally just like dived onto the stage. Again, I don't know what I was thinking, but dived onto the stage and like barrel rolled, like very painful. Stood up, and Machine Gun Kelly was like right next to me. Put his arm around me, did like one or two of these as he's fucking saying like, bitch, I'm a wild boy.
Oh,
and literally the entire crowd rushed the stage.
Wait, what?
Literally everyone in the whole fucking place rushed the stage, and it couldn't have been more than 30 seconds. The power went out, the floodlights came
Wait.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
And I like, everyone was just, there was like a PA announcement like, please exit the stage. And I like ran outside, and the police were immediately coming in, and people were like, oh shit, it's the cat guy. And I was like, oh fuck, take it off. I ran down to my dorm, changed my clothes, and like went back up, and they arrested Machine Gun Kelly that evening for enticing a riot.
What?
OU, like, go see the post. It's in the post.
So the concert was shut down after that?
I mean, it was the last
song.
Well,
yeah, it was the last song,
yeah.
but like that was
it, man.
Dude,
that was
holy
it.
shit,
Yeah.
that is incredible.
I don't often share that story, but that's definitely one of the most memorable ones.
Yeah, well, hey, if you're listening to the end of this podcast, you just got a fucking
got a little gem for you.
Yeah, got a little gem, baby.
Yeah, my apologies.
That is crazy.
He probably remembers that as well. He's probably like, fuck yes.
It's on his record, man. He was arrested.
Yeah, he for sure remembers that one. I can't believe he got arrested for that, though. That's what's wild to me.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's street cred. Damn, that's fucking unreal. What a bomb. What a dookie to drop at the end of this episode, Connor.
Full circle comes back.
Kerplunk. Well, man, thank you very much for coming on. Like, this has honestly been a fucking... I say it every time, but it truly is just like one of our best conversations every time, because what better time is there to just dive into music, not know where we're going to go in with it, and then full circle just be able to come out the other side and just like... Man, you inspire me. I really have to say. So I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you talking some chat with Club and I.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
JJ, thank you so much, Chance.
Yeah, again, everybody,
Thank
Conor
you,
Emser,
yeah.
check it out. Everywhere. You can follow him everywhere. Conor Emser. And then again, you can check us out, Vinyl Stallions, on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We have a couple TikToks, Spotify, Apple Music, all of the above. But besides that, my name is Bruce.
I'm Clep.
I'm Connor.
And this has been another episode of Vinyl Stallions.